Hello, everybody. This is Teresa Tokaz from the Erie County 4-H office. Thank you for taking the time to watch our public presentation evaluator training. Today, I will be going over what it is like to be an evaluator, some important information to know when you evaluate, and hopefully answer any questions you may have. We'll start with what is a public presentation. 4-H public presentations serve as an opportunity for our 4-H members to teach, entertain, and speak to others about a topic they have learned about or have interest in. Our 4-H members are allowed to talk about any topic they would like, so long as it is 4-H appropriate. Throughout your day, as an evaluator, you could hear presentations about turkey hunting, how to get ready for an animal show, how to bake cookies, a trip to another country, and so on and so forth. The possibilities are endless, which makes evaluating interesting and exciting, as no two presentations will ever be the same. 4-H public presentations is also an event that occurs not only at a county level, but also at a district and a state level. Western District presentations is the next level of competition. The top 10% of Erie County 4-H presenters will be selected to participate in the district competition, where they will compete against 4-H members from Niagara, Cattaraugus, Allegheny, Orleans, Chautauqua, and Wyoming counties. The state offers a 4-H Communication Institute that gives a more advanced opportunity for 4-Hers to learn and grow their public speaking skills. So why are public presentations so important for our 4-H program? Being able to speak in front of others is a skill that 4-Hers will use throughout their entire life. Many 4-H alumni credit their experience in the public presentation program as to why they were able to successfully pass a course in college, to do projects with ease in school, as well as being able to perform public speaking requirements in a career that they choose. Public presentations are also a long-standing tradition in the 4-H program. It has been offered since we began. It continues to be something that our program is known for here in the United States and around the world. In Erie County specifically, public presentations are a requirement for any 4-H youth who plan to show or sell an animal in the Erie County Fair. The reason it is required for youth in the animal program is because many members of the public who attend the fair do not have knowledge or the basic understanding about the animals that are brought to the fair by our 4-Hers. It is important for our youth to be able to express what they are doing, explain how they are handling their animals, and the purpose of raising their animals. Public presentations help our 4-Hers feel more comfortable expressing themselves and sharing the knowledge they have with the fair-going public. As mentioned earlier, there are several opportunities the public presentation program offers to our 4-Hers that go further than just the county presentation events. Following the county presentation events, there is the Western District event, where the top 10% of Erie County 4-H presenters with the highest scores will present again alongside 4-Hers from the surrounding counties. This year, district presentations will be held on Saturday, March 30th at the Watermark Wesleyan Church in Hamburg. The state in the past couple of years has begun to adapt what they offer at a state level for public speaking programming. They have created a communication institute to invite youth to participate in public speaking workshops, practice different forms of public speaking outside of formal presentations, and work with students and staff from Cornell. This opportunity is given to the top 10 presenters from district presentations. The Communication Institute will be held on June 1st and 2nd at the Cornell campus in Ithaca. Youth are also encouraged to enter their posters in the 4-H Youth Development Building at the fair. They can also sign up to do a live presentation at the Erie County Fair or the New York State Fair. Both earn the 4-H'er a premium, which serves as another way to showcase their hard work. Your role as an evaluator. In Erie County, we set up presentations to be evaluated by teams of evaluators. Within a room, there are a total of 4 evaluators, 2 teams. Those 2 teams are a constant rotation of evaluations. While Team A is evaluating a presentation, Team B will be in a conference room finishing up their comments and speaking with the previous presenter briefly. It is a constant rotation of the 2 evaluation teams throughout the day to keep evaluations moving and allow presenters to receive verbal feedback from their evaluators. An evaluator's job is to respectfully watch, listen, take notes, and assess the presentation, as well as provide positive, constructive feedback and valid scoring based on the set rubric. I will go over the rubric a little later. The rubric is a document that is used to create an easy process for you as an evaluator. It goes through point by point on what can bring a 4-H'er score from a 1 to a 5. It's important that you fill out all score sheets completely. You want to make sure that there are comments and your signature with the proper scores noted at the bottom of the page. Our evaluators have various backgrounds with 4-H. They are friends of 4-H, parents, club leaders, alumni, or even members of the community who have an interest in our youth programming. Our 2019 events include 4 county-level events. We have 3 February events and 1 in March. The February 2nd and 9th Saturday events will be held at Watermark Wesleyan Church in Hamburg. And the February 6th Wednesday evening event will be held at the Gow School in East Aurora. Gow event is open to both Gow students and registered 4-H'ers this year. The March 8th Friday event will be held at Tapestry Charter School in the city of Buffalo. 4-H'ers can select from a variety of presentation categories. Cloverbuds are our youngest 4-H'ers, ages 5, 6, and 7. They have their own category for presentations. Our general 4-H members, ages 8 to 18, have a choice between several categories that include a demonstration, illustrated talk, speech, recitation, or a dramatic interpretation. I will now go over these different presentations in a little bit more detail. Our Cloverbuds, again, are our youngest 4-H'ers. Their presentations are more like a simple show and tell. It does not have to be 5 minutes, and it does not necessarily have to include all the parts of a presentation, though we want to encourage them to continue to try to add as much as they can to their presentations. They also have their own scorecard that's a little bit simpler and less intense than the older members. A demonstration is a form of presentation that will show or explain how to do or make something. For example, a presenter could show the audience how to juggle, build a kite, make cookies, or build a birdhouse. This type of presentation should have equipment, models, visual aids, illustrations that will all be used to relay information about what they are teaching or doing and explain the steps necessary to complete the process. A finished product can also be shown. Youth can also present as a team at all levels of presentations, which means they can do a team presentation of 2 people at the county, district, and state levels. A food demonstration is a variation of our demonstration category. Food demonstrations require a set of specific rules and requirements. There are a set of documents on our 4-H webpage that go over the proper way to do a food presentation, and they will also be provided for our evaluators the day of our presentation events. An illustrated talk is our most popular form of presentation. It is a presentation that uses visual aids to tell the audience about a topic. In most cases, a poster is used to relay information, but youth can also use charts, PowerPoints, or other visual aids to effectively support their information that they are trying to communicate to their audience. The team option is allowed at the county level, but not at the district or state level. A formal speech is a form of presentation that persuades, motivates, or informs the audience without the use of visual aids. Proper use of notes or note cards is acceptable. Presenters will select a research topic and present in the format of their choice. The formats include persuasive, motivational, or informative speech. The speech must be written in the presenter's own words. Team presentations are not allowed in the speech category at any level. A recitation is when a 4-H'er gives a rendition of a pre-written material using their voice and body language to communicate. For example, an excerpt from the book Twilight or the Gettysburg Address would be considered a recitation. Tools and props should not be used, but appropriate dress to represent the character or mood of the piece is acceptable. Memorization is expected in this category, and materials should not be original or written by the presenter. A team presentation is not allowed in this category. For a dramatic interpretation, presenters or a team will deliver a reenactment of a piece of scripted material such as a scene from a play. Presenters will be evaluated on costumes, props, and vocal presentation. This, unlike the recitation, should include props and costumes. Original pieces by the presenter are accepted in this category, and team presentations are allowed at all levels. Here's a few bits of other important information for an evaluator to know throughout the day. PowerPoint presentations are allowed. They are most commonly used for illustrated talks, and sometimes they're used for demonstrations. PowerPoints need to be created by the 4-H'er, and they will need to do the setup for the presentations alone. So you don't want the parents setting up their laptop or using their thumb drive. The kids should know how to do it as they come into the presentation, just as they should know how to set up their posters. Projectors and laptops, as well as screens, will be provided for the presenters in their presentation rooms. If you have technical issues, we'll go over that a little later, but you can always find one of our volunteers to help you get that situated. But if there is an issue with a PowerPoint presentation, the best way to handle it is to keep the 4-H'er calm. Presenting can be stressful as it is, so we want to make sure that they stay calm and take a couple minutes to try and fix it. If it takes more than 2 minutes to fix their problem, please tell the 4-H'er that they will need to stop and present a little later in the day, just so that everyone keeps on schedule. We don't want to spend more than 5 minutes on a technical issue. Reassure them that it's okay and that they will have a chance to get resituated and present again a little later. Presentations for anyone over the age of 8 need to be a minimum of 5 minutes and a maximum of 15 minutes. We want to encourage 4-H'ers who have presented for several years to strive to be closer to the 15-minute mark. Be understanding that presenting can be stressful for youth who are doing it for the first time, and 5 minutes can feel very long. No live animals are allowed for presentations, with the exception of service dogs being allowed there. And evaluators will be notified of youth with special needs that have been noted to the office. You are to evaluate them to the best of your ability and accordingly as you see fit. Presenters should set up their own presentations by themselves and are allowed to receive help if it was prearranged. Cloverbuds can receive help from their parents as they set up. They're younger, it can be a little stressful, and sometimes the tables are too high for them to get their stuff. So just let the parents help Cloverbuds, but if they're older, please just remind them that they should be setting up on their own. So what are our members taught prior to public presentations? There's a lot of information that is provided to our 4-H'ers prior to public presentation day. Our 4-H members are able to watch and participate in an informal webinar. They can also participate in some of our practice days that we host. There are also resources available on the 4-H website that they can look at and review at any time during the year. Through these resources, we teach them the basics about presentations. We always start with determine your presentation type based on the topic you select. This can help determine which category a presentation would fit best into, especially if it's a very specific topic that the 4-H'er wants to talk about. And we want the kids to know their subject. We want our 4-H'ers information to be up to date and accurate. 4-H'ers should have their references as they are an important part of their presentation. They're required to have at least one credible reference. Wikipedia is not considered a credible source. A parent with knowledge, a 4-H member with experience, a book, or other reliable websites are all considered credible sources. It is good practice for our presenters to know who their audience is, which can be a variety of people, including 4-H'ers, volunteers, evaluators, and the public. In most cases, they will not have the back knowledge of the selected topic, so therefore we want the 4-H'ers to be covering basic material and basic facts before they go into more in-depth information in their presentations. We encourage 4-H'ers to be creative in their presentations. There are lots of ways to express information through public presentations, and there is no limit to their creativity. We tell our 4-H'ers that a good way to organize public presentations is by using a 3-step process of introduction, body, and conclusion. We always encourage fun, interesting introductions to capture the attention of the audience. The body is typically the main points, which includes cause and effect reasoning, and generally is in chronological order. In the conclusion, we want the 4-H'er to reiterate the main points of their presentation and cite their sources. Props, equipment, and visuals can always be used if they are allowed in the category. And we always encourage our 4-H'ers to practice, practice, practice. Practice is very important and will help make the presentation process easier and more comfortable. And definitely take a look at the resources on the webpage, which include the rubrics that will be used for their presentations, which show them exactly what the presentation requirements are. And those are all available on our 4-H webpage. For evaluations, feedback is key. As an evaluator, you want to make sure that you not only tell the youth any feedback following their presentation, but also write it down on their evaluation sheet. This sheet is something that they can look back on if they go to district presentations or are looking to improve their public speaking skills in other circumstances. Also, as an evaluator, you want to make sure that your comments match the scores you are given. Sometimes we hear from 4-Hers that the conversation with the evaluator after the presentation was great. There was no criticism or red flag issues, but yet their scores were low. Just remember that constructive criticism can help a 4-Her develop their public speaking skills when paired with positive feedback and encouragement. You want to make sure that any score you're giving, if you're giving a 3, you want to make sure that it matches what you're saying in the comments. You don't want to give a 3 and say everything was perfect, everything was great. In that case, it should be a 5. But if you gave a 3, say maybe you could improve this, but you did a great job on this. The goal of evaluations in 4-H public presentations are to help members gain a greater appreciation of excellence and quality of workmanship and experience. We want to educate members and help them improve their public speaking skills and techniques. We want to encourage members to discover and develop their talents and potentials. We want to make members think critically and objectively about their work and themselves. And evaluations are supposed to encourage the 4-Hers to continue to work and grow, but not make them feel defeated and disappointed in themselves. We want to make sure that our members are leaving public presentations feeling accomplished, feeling like they did an amazing job because they were brave enough to come and speak in front of other people. And we also want to send them away with a couple tips here or there to improve for next year. If that includes, next time try to talk a little slower, or next time try to look at the audience a little bit more. But you always want to pair that with, but you did this really well, and you did this very well, because we want them to leave feeling like they accomplished something. On evaluation day, we do have some helpers there to assist the evaluators. Room hosts are youth or adult volunteers who assist the evaluator in the room by introducing presenters. They will introduce each presenter and their topic before the presentation. If there is not a room host assigned to your room, it is the evaluator's job to take a moment to introduce each presenter and their topic. A junior evaluator is a youth member who wants to learn more about the evaluation process. They will sit with the team of judges for the presentation, and their job is to give one positive comment on the presentation during the evaluation conference. And they can also take part in the conversation that happens prior to the conference with the 4-Her. And we also have runners, who are youth and adult volunteers who take the completed scores to the tally room to be calculated. We usually have a few runners at each public presentation event. So once you have your scores completed, turn in your completed sheets to the nearest runner and it'll be delivered to the tally room. The materials that you will receive on presentation day include a clipboard, stopwatch, and a writing utensil, which you will receive all at check-in right before the evaluator meeting. You will receive a judging rubric and scorecard. The judging rubric is different for each type of presentation except for illustrated talk and demonstration, which are on the same score sheet and rubric. The rubric is there to help guide the points that you are given with detail for each point value. The scorecard matches the rubric perfectly, so all points will translate to the scorecard, which is where you will write all your comments. The top of the scorecard contains a heading that contains the 4-Hers information, including name, presentation title, years in 4-H, and number of presentations done previously. The information is important because public presentations are evaluated on the Danish system. This means our evaluations of the 4-Hers are against a rubric and not against other 4-Hers or presenters. We want to see how the 4-Her meets the categories on the rubric. You want to make sure you take into consideration the 4-Hers' age, experience, length of time in the program, and so on and so forth. We want to see if the 4-Her has progressed based on their age and years in the program, or are they a new member to the program? A 4-Her who is 16 but is their first year in 4-H program may be presenting for the first time and may find it more challenging to present than a 4-Her who is 16 and has done 5 4-H presentations before. So remember, you're not comparing one presentation to another. You're comparing the presenter to the rubric that you are given. This is a partial snapshot of one of our rubrics that we use. Again, it is on a scale from 1 to 5. As you can see, the information details what presentation characteristics would be considered a 1, 2, 3, and so on. The far left-hand column contains the different topics that the presenters are evaluated on. Then you can circle the scores from column 1 to 5. And this is a snapshot of the scorecard that is used along with the rubric that we just looked at. Again, you can see how the topics we are looking at translate right from the rubric. There is a box to write each of the scores in and plenty of room to write comments. At the bottom, there's a line for the evaluator's signature as well as the time and the length of the presentation. A basic definition of the scores from 1 to 5. 5 being the highest score, it represents that the 4-H'er did an outstanding job. They went above and beyond and have very little room for improvement. A 4 is a score given when a 4-H'er exceeds the expectations appropriate for their age and experience level. A 3 falls right in the middle. It means that the presenter met the expectations for their experience level. A 2 means that some improvements are needed and some minor things were left out of their presentation. And a 1 means that the presenter left out some important information and parts that were crucial to the presentation. So what can you expect during a presentation? Youth will begin setting up the room as needed when it is their turn to present. They are allowed to move around tables and chairs to make the space suitable for their presentation. A room host or a judge will then introduce the youth by saying at least the youth's name and presentation title. The presenter will begin to present in front of one of the teams of evaluators and the audience in the room. Evaluation begins as soon as the presenter starts. One of the evaluators should time the presentation either with a stopwatch or their phone, and the time ends the minute the presenter is done speaking before questions. Evaluators can begin taking notes during the presentation. You can circle on the rubric. You can highlight whatever is your preference. That rubric will also be given to the 4-H'ers to look back on along with your comments. When a presentation is done, make sure that you ask at least 2 questions. If the audience doesn't ask questions, you want to make sure you're asking at least 2. And if the audience does ask questions, feel free to ask more questions. It can always help the 4-H'er. Following the presentation, the presenter will leave the room and wait to meet with the evaluation team for a one-on-one conference promptly after the presentation is finished. So once the presentation is done, the presenter will leave, and the 2 evaluators will leave and go into the conference room to finish writing up their comments and speak briefly, and then invite the 4-H'er to come back in. You want to make sure that this meeting is brief but thorough so that you can get back into the room and be ready for the next presentation. As I said, after the presentation is completed, the evaluators can step into the conference room, which will then this will be where you have your one-on-one conference with the presenter. It is okay to have different opinions and thoughts on the 4-H'er's presentation, but we want to make sure that evaluations are uniform and help our 4-H'er understand and improve, which means evaluation scores must be within 1 point of each other. So if one evaluator ranks the 4-H'er with a 5, the other evaluator cannot give the 4-H'er a 2. It has to be a 4 and a 5 or a 3 and a 4. It can't be more than 1 point apart. And after you briefly go over with your evaluation partner the scores that you are given, you want to invite the 4-H'er in to have that one-on-one discussion. Parents are more than welcome to come and listen to the evaluator's comments, but make sure that when you are speaking, you're speaking directly to the 4-H'er and giving the feedback to the youth, not the adults. Again, scoring is based on the rubric, the 4-H'er's age, and their experience level. All of those things should be taken into consideration as you are evaluating. Ribbons and certificates will be awarded after the evaluation conference based on the score given. Some things to remember. Please remember to write the total presentation time on the score sheet. Written comments are critical because in the moment, the 4-H'er may be listening, but may be excited or relieved to be finished with the presentation, so they may be a little distracted and may forget the feedback that the evaluators gave them. So having those comments to review can be extremely useful for our 4-H'ers when they leave the event. Focus on constructive criticism when guiding improvements, and pair with positive feedback. Again, evaluators need to be close in score with within 1 point of each other. Parents are allowed to sit in on both the presentation and the evaluation conference. There are a couple things that will allow a 4-H'er to earn an automatic high score, which can be a small way to boost their presentation score. If they come in with an outfit or dress in a way that matches with their presentation, or they list 3 or more credible references, they automatically receive a high score of 5. This is the breakdown of the awards that are given to our presenters based on their scores. Cloverbuds receive a green ribbon for participation. They do not receive a number score, but rather recognition that they participated in the presentation event. A blue ribbon is the highest ranking and is given to the presenter that goes above and beyond in expectations. A red ribbon is given when a presentation was good and met expectations. And a white ribbon is given when the presentation was fair but could use a little bit of improvement. There is value in all of these ribbons as they represent the youth was able to speak in front of an audience and was able to face a challenge of public speaking. We do require in the Erie County 4-H program that 4-H'ers showing livestock receive higher than a red or a blue ribbon to participate in the livestock program. If they do not receive a red or a blue ribbon, they do have a chance to represent their presentation in May. So here's a basic schedule for the day of the event. For the Watermark Wesleyan events, you will arrive around 8:15 a.m. and check in. For the Gowan Tapestry events, you will arrive around 5:15 p.m. to check in. We will have a short evaluator meeting at the beginning of each event. You will receive your evaluation materials, room assignments, and evaluation partner. First-time evaluators will be paired with a veteran evaluator. And please always bring a positive attitude and a smile. The 2 weekend events will begin at 9 a.m. and our 2 weekday events will begin at 6 p.m. All registration and room assignments are done beforehand for the kids. Light snacks and refreshments will be provided. The 2 Wesleyan events are longer, so we will have a lunch break around 12, and lunch will be provided for our evaluators. Each room will hopefully have their own room host to introduce the presenter, but again, if you do not have a room host, it is the evaluator's job to do the introductions before each presentation. And finally, you get to sit back and enjoy the presentations and everything our 4-H'ers have to say. After the presentation is done, remind the 4-H'ers that they can enter their presentations in the Erie County Fair. They can enter their posters or they can sign up to do a live presentation at the fair. And sometimes youth want to know where they can find their scores. You can let them know that the scores are being calculated in the tally room and that they can collect their certificates and ribbons once they are done being calculated. There are also a few videos. They're available on our 4-H website and also in this video. The links are here, and you can click on them and watch them. There's a couple different videos of different presentations that have been done in the past or informational videos. We also have all our rubrics listed on our webpage, so if you'd like to look at those prior to the events, feel free to visit our 4-H website and take a look at those. That is all the information I have for you today. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. Again, I'm Teresa Tokaz from the 4-H office, and thank you so much for volunteering your time to help with our public presentation events and be an evaluator. I will see everyone soon. Have a great day.